Hey, am I live now? I think I'm live. I hit the button. I think everything should be working. All right, so I'm going to get started. Welcome back to the live stream, everybody. I'm super excited. I've got a ton of stuff I want to talk about. I was thinking about all the different things that I could possibly talk about today, and I realized, my head's kind of swimming in all the different things. Let me know how the audio is. Thank you, Yale. Thank you. Let me know if you can hear the music. I don't want it to be too loud, but I do want it to be there. I'm hoping that it's working. Looks like it should be playing. Sweet. All right. New location. No, I just put up some curtains. So now the lighting's way better in here. When you're low tech, it doesn't let you, when you're using your cell phone, actually, if you're trying to do YouTube videos, just know that cell phones don't do well with low light or too much light from different sources. So I love having the window behind me. It's still behind me, but it's covered with a curtain. So that's the new setup. Ryan says he doesn't hear music. I can turn it up a little bit. Let's see. I'll just turn it up a little notch. Yeah, so welcome to live stream. Like I was saying, I had a lot of things that I wanted to talk about today. Just my head was kind of swimming in all the different ideas. I just finished a video. I just put out a video about AI and why you should never be afraid of AI. Definitely check that one out. I was really excited about it. I think the two people closest to me, my best friend and my wife, both say it's my best video so far. And I agree. I've figured out a lot of different things, editing things, and also I presented better. So I'm excited about that video. I'm hoping it goes viral because I kind of used Alex Hormozi. I'll show you the picture of him. Here, this is the thumbnail for the video. I don't know if you know who Alex Hormozi is, but he has, hundreds of millions of subscribers on his YouTube channel. He's a fantastic entrepreneurial channel. But he did a video on AI, and there was one segment in the video where he said, well, we think we're more complicated than we are, but we're really just a set of inputs and outputs, like basically equating humanity to robots. And so he was basically saying that because AI is a robot, it can just replace humanity. And I was like, that's not how it works at all. And I remember when he first said that, I said this in the video, but I was like amazed that he didn't understand this. So yeah, so I just put that one out. You can see my notes for today right here. I'll go back to the other scene for the moment. I also got the chat up on the screen, which I'm pretty excited about, so you guys can see the chat very easily in the replay. And you can see your chat show up on the live stream. It's quiet, but I hear it. Okay, I can turn it up a little bit more. Here, turn it up a little bit more. Let me know. I just don't want it to be distracting, okay? You see how that sounds? And some of the songs are different. I'm using YouTube's library. I've selected some decent songs from YouTube's library, so let me know how it sounds. All right. Yeah, so as I was saying, I just made that video, and I wanted to figure out what to talk about today. And instead of going into something new, I thought it would be a good time to take stock of the things that I've already discussed, starting with what I started with. And it seems so long ago, and maybe to you guys it doesn't seem that long ago. I don't know. Time flies, right, when you're having fun. But I started this channel, I think it was like December 15th, 14th, or something like that. So it's been almost 2.5 months. So almost a full season, right? In a couple weeks it will be 3 months, which is a season. And I thought it would be a good time to take a look back at what I've covered. And the first video that I put out is called What is the Way of Service, right? Here's the thumbnail. So I covered what is the way of service, right? And why should you care about it? And in it, I kind of explained the origin story to this channel. And it really came from a moment where I realized how I, in particular, could try to save the world or change the world in a really positive way. And it was right in line with all of my talents and all the things. We discussed this last week when we discussed how to find your purpose. And I realized I love making arguments. I love the truth. I love uncovering falsehoods that might be, lodged in people's brains that are kind of preventing them from understanding the world. Basically, giving you the wrong worldview or, falsehoods. What is the word I'm looking for here? I guess falsehoods, false premises that cause people to make really bad decisions in their life, right? And I think there's a set of falsehoods that basically everybody shares. Like one of the biggest ones, and that's why I started the Way of Service, is that you should focus on making money. You should focus on, improving your life through making money, improving your life through becoming more famous, gaining more influence. This is what the majority of material out there is focused on. If you go on YouTube, anything that's not in a spiritual niche, as they call it, they're going to talk about, hey, here's how you make more money. Here's how you manifest everything that you want. Here's how you get that big house. Here's how you get that perfect mate that you want. And it's all about you. It's all about like selfish goals and objectives. And I think there's a place for selfish goals and objectives. And I don't think, I'm not trying to say you should just be selfless. That's not at all the Way of Service. But I believe in order to get to those goals, you need to orient yourself towards other people primarily. You need to orient yourself towards helping the world. That's really the way to get there. So that was what this first video was about. And I said, I believe we can win this argument. The argument of orienting towards others. I think it makes sense from like an intuitive standpoint, but it also makes sense in a logical way. In the spiritual way. There's so many ways that this argument wins. Basically, this is my belief: is anything that's true, which I believe following the Way of Service is correct to getting to all of your dreams, all of the things that you want. The beautiful mate, the more money, the more influence in the world, all the things that you want come through the Way of Service. And because it's the truth, there's just a ton of different arguments on every different facet of life that can be made to win this, to show people that this is the way that they should live. And that is the problem in the world. I see it, my wife and I went to town yesterday, and it's just, you have interactions with strangers, and it's just like, really, that's the decision that they made? That's how they chose to treat, random people that they run into? Like, it's just, it's very obvious to me when I go out into the world, when I interact with people, even close friends, that there's a lot of falsehoods, and I want to help them. I want to help them get out of it. So I wanted to start this stream, and I did mention I'm going to be reading the live chat. So anybody wants to mention anything in the live chat, say hello. I do want to say hi to everybody. Hi, Yale, Ryan, Susan, 3 of my favorite people. Thank you for joining me. It's awesome. So as I was saying, making this argument of the Way of Service, that was my first video. And I want to read this quote from the I Ching because I feel like it really sums it up. Would you like to liberate yourself from the lower realms of life? And here's the perfect sentence. Would you like to save the world from the degradation and destruction it seems destined for? Then step away from shallow mass movements and quietly go to work on your own self-awareness. If you want to awaken all of humanity, then awaken all of yourself. If you want to eliminate the suffering in the world, then eliminate all that is dark and negative in yourself. Truly, the greatest gift you have to give is that of your own self-transformation. So it almost sounds like a selfish quote, but in that process of self-transformation, and in the rest of the I Ching, he talks about serving others all the time. But in this process of self-transformation and self-awareness and eliminating the falsehoods that are within ourselves, that is how we're going to change the world. That is how the Way of Service works, and that's how I've envisioned it. So, like I said, the thesis of this channel is everyone's out there to make money. They're in it for these selfish ideas. And one of the main ways that this came to me was through my understanding of manifestation. And I got caught up in the manifestation, the selfish goals, the selfish orientation myself. I think I mentioned in one of the videos, Yale says, I have a fun quote that applies. Please share it. I would love to read your quote. So last year I started meditating in April of 2024. I've meditated in the past, on and off, but I decided to do it every day. And that decision, along with this form of meditation that I did, just changed my life. Again, I've been through this many times. 15 years ago, I healed my father in the hospital, and that radically changed my worldview. But I came in and out of the spiritual path over the last 15 years. And it was in this last year that I really just was like, I'm on the spiritual path. But before I created the Way of Service in this past December, basically from April until December, I was kind of caught up in this manifestation dynamic, the spirituality but still oriented towards yourself. It's like a selfish spirituality, kind of the new age. And I think there's a ton of great stuff in there. These people, they are studying correct spiritual principles, esoteric, occult teachings, things that people haven't studied. Amazing stuff that I've been studying for decades also. But because they're oriented towards their own life, they keep running into this wall when they try to manifest. And I feel like that was happening to me also. It's like, I can manifest something, it'll be like you start to get some momentum going and things seem to be working manifestation wise, and then you hit a wall and things just fall apart. And it's very frustrating. But then I had this epiphany that it's because we're trying to be selfish. And it's because we don't understand that we can't actually have, do, or be anything that we want. Because there's certain things that if we were to have, do, or be them, right? Like, let's say you win the lottery. I've said, and I want to make a video about this, but I'll share the idea anyways. I went from, man, I'll never win the lottery, it's too hard, to, man, maybe I can win the lottery. And then I went to, I'm going to manifest winning the lottery, and it's going to be amazing. I'm going to manifest it. I'm going to just win $100 million, like just by visualizing the numbers. And I had that for a little while. And then I realized with this Way of Service, and I was listening to near-death experiences talk about the life review and, past life regressions, interviews where people talk about their life purpose. And I realized I went from, I can manifest the lottery, to maybe I shouldn't win the lottery. And finally, it doesn't matter if I win the lottery or not. That's where I've arrived now. As in, if winning the lottery is part of my destiny, I accept it. But if winning the lottery is not part of my destiny, I accept that as well. And it doesn't matter. I don't want winning the lottery or money to distract me from what I've realized is the real purpose of life. So that's what I've really realized, is that the manifestation people, especially on YouTube, just everywhere out on the internet, the people are selling this idea of manifestation because it sells. You tell people, hey, if you visualize something, it's going to come to you. But they're leaving out the true part of it. The true purpose of life is not to just get what you want. The purpose of life is to serve others, and it's to experience challenges that make us grow and appreciate the good things that come to us. If we were just handed all these great things, it wouldn't matter to us. And I talked about this on the last live stream. There's that Twilight Zone episode where the guy basically wakes up in a casino and he just wins every time he plays. And after a couple days, he's like, this is awful. This life is awful. And he actually finds out he's in hell. That's the spoiler for that one. There is a quote I wanted to share. Yeah, since I'm on this topic, I'm going to read this I Ching quote, and then I'm going to go to chat, because I see I've got some messages. Because this quote from the I Ching kind of outlines how life is about overcoming difficulty. Life is not about just getting what you want, okay? Remember, it is not that those who cultivate wholeness and virtue in themselves do not encounter difficulties in life, right? So it's saying, even if you are a perfect spiritual seeker, and you know all the tricks, you know exactly how to visualize, you know exactly how to meditate, you do it every day, and everything is perfect in your own practice, you're still going to encounter difficulties. This is what life is about. It is that they understand that difficulties are the very road to immortality. By meeting them calmly and openly, however they unfold, and joyfully developing themselves in response to them, they can become as natural, as complete, and as eternal as the Tao itself. So the rewards are great for following this path, but there will always be challenges and difficulty. One of the perfect analogies that I've heard is the idea of an infinite mountain. An infinite mountain where, as you climb, the view becomes more and more spectacular. But then when you look back, the route ahead is still challenging, no matter how far you attain. And that is what is so amazing about life. It's about existence. I mean, God has created this amazing, perfect experience and of existence, consciousness, where we can continuously grow and learn and appreciate and also continuously have challenges. And so we're all going to have a better time if we just accept that challenges are going to happen. And this was what 2 live streams ago we talked about, overcoming difficult times. And one of the biggest things was to remember your practices. Because when things get difficult, we often revert to previous habits from our past and habits from our childhood. And then we really experience difficulty because now we're not doing the things that we've learned to do that will help us handle them. All right, back to the chat. Yale's quote says, well, it sort of applies. I love the quote. Quote, don't ask for what you need, ask for what you're needed for. Right, yeah. Yeah, exactly. And it makes me think of that very famous JFK quote, ask not what your country can do for you, but ask what you can do for your country. And, that quote, to me, the word country has a lot of baggage. I don't know about you, but our country has been up and down over the years. Whatever your political stance is, everybody's feeling a bit probably conflicted about that. But to just let go of the idea of the country, let go of politics, and just orient yourself towards helping the people around you, especially the people immediately in your life. I mean, that's where you really can apply these principles every day, every hour. We're social beings. We are constant. Even if you're not being social, you're working on something for other people. That's another epiphany that I had. I mean, it's not that hard to understand, but if you want money, if you want a good mate, if you want fame and power, all of these things are about other people. They're all about relationships. So if you can become a master of relationships, a master of dealing with other people and not manipulating them, but really helping them in the very best way, and especially in the way that you in particular can, that is the best way to reaching those things, the money, the power, the fame, all the things that you want. Susan says, I like that quote, Yale. I do too. Yes. Ryan says, you still need to make the choice of buying the ticket. Pretty hard to win if you don't buy the ticket. Yeah, well, yeah. Right, you're talking about the lottery ticket. Yeah. And, because of all the numbers that were lining up, I was just like, if I just put 444, 1111 on there, like a birth date or something, I'm going to hit it, But I finally realized, and I haven't bought a lottery ticket in months now, but it's it doesn't really matter, And if you're supposed to win the lottery, you'll be led to buy the ticket, That's kind of how I see it. And it's amazing. During this time, I was thinking about winning the lottery. I was watching videos of interviews with lottery winners, and a lot of these lottery winners envisioned winning the lottery. One particular story that sticks out to me is a story from a lottery winner, and he said that he was driving to work, and he had this just this deep feeling of being sick of his job. Like, he was just like, I cannot stand this job anymore. And in that same energy, he went and bought a ticket. And I can't remember if he said that he knew he was going to win, but he won, you know, and he changed his life. And then he is using his money to, I believe it was, he created like a wildlife refuge, or he was helping people, save wildlife with their land. You know, he created a project, basically a business or a charitable foundation based on something he believed in. So there's an example of where somebody winning the lottery led them to their purpose. But you can imagine that there are plenty of people out there who would not be served by winning the lottery. You know, I think that if you win the lottery, you're less likely to seek your purpose because you're not motivated. If you realize that seeking your purpose is what's going to lead you to the wealth that you want, then you're going to be motivated to do it. I think that that's what happens for most people. Ryan says C.S. Lewis uses the imagery of an infinite mountain as a metaphor of spiritual progression too. That's very cool. Yeah, C.S. Lewis, I think I've read one of his books. Obviously a famous author, I've heard the name. Have you read much of his work, Ryan? Let me know what you think what's your favorite book of his? Yeah, the infinite mountain, I've heard it mentioned a few different ways. It's like, and another great part of this analogy of the infinite mountain is if you imagine it covered in pristine snow. So the idea is that you can't ask someone else how to climb your mountain, right? Because when you look up your mountain, it's pure, virgin snow. It's not been touched by anyone else. So no one else can tell you how to do it or how to climb that mountain. You have to do it yourself. I think one of the great places I read about the infinite mountain was from the Emerald Tablets of Thoth, which are claimed to be dated back to the ancient king of Atlantis, like 12,000 years ago. So that's fascinating in itself, right? And also Thoth was Hermes Trismegistus, which means thrice born. The Emerald Tablets describe how he went through reincarnation 3 times and was finally Thoth, and then he says that he's going to return. But he gave the Emerald Tablets and the body of knowledge of Hermeticism, which is where basically all the occultism comes from. Tarot comes from Hermeticism. It's related to the chakra system. It's basically Greek mysticism, ancient Greek mysticism, and Egyptian mysticism. If you don't know what I'm talking about, definitely check that stuff out. I read the Kabbalion on a live stream, I think it was about a month ago. That's a great introductory work, the Kabbalion, on Hermeticism. Hey, Brian, welcome to the stream. Brian says, my mountain is pure gravy. Yeah, snow or gravy, either way, it's you who are going to climb it. All right. So I want to go through this list. I came up with these notes as I was going through all of the different videos that I've done. There's a lot of ideas that I want to kind of push together and see if I can make the connections that maybe I haven't made yet. Let's see. All right. So yeah, you can't just visualize what you want without engaging with the world in a positive way. That's another one of the lies of the manifestation people is like, oh, well, if you just visualize it long enough, it's just going to show up at your door. And that's not how life works. And again, that's not going to help you grow. That's not going to help you have a good life. It's not going to help you grow your relationships. All the things that life is really about, that's not going to get you there. So that's not how it works. I mean, life is beautiful. It is designed by God to be perfect. And so you're not going to just get what you want from visualization alone. We talked about the growth mindset, and related to the growth mindset is being in the process. So this is, again, so talking about manifestation. One of the great things, the biggest things, lessons or challenges of manifestation is that if you want to manifest, you have to let go of manifesting it, right? So whatever the thing is that you want, you visualize it, and then you just let it go, right? This has been talked about by a lot of people, like Neville Goddard. He has a great method where you visualize all the things that you want as you fall asleep, because then you visualize the things that you want and you let go by falling asleep, and then you don't have any counteracting thoughts. And in order to do that in our life, you have to focus on the process instead of focusing on the goal. And there are studies, scientific studies, that show how athletes will, the athletes who have the process as their focus outperform the athletes who focus on the goal, like, winning a championship or attaining a certain result in their field. They outperform those people. And I think that there's something spiritual there as well. It's not just about, training methods, although that is also part of it. If you're focused on the process, if you love the process, that's really what's important. Loving the process. And this is, again, why you need to orient towards the way of service, because if you are oriented towards service, you're so much more motivated. You're going to have so much more fun every day because you're helping people, and they've shown that helping people is one of the most addictive things that you can do. And I can't think of anything to be better to be addicted to than to helping people. So if you can focus on service, that will allow you to stay in the process. Instead of if you're focused on the result, you're going to think about, what can I get out of this person? That's a video I want to make. The title of the video is going to be How to Never Have Social Anxiety Ever Again. And the way to do it is to always be oriented towards the way of service, because then you're in process, you're in flow with the person, you're listening to them in the conversation. Because if you're oriented towards your goal or the outcome, the thing that you want from the person, your money or whatever it might be, they're going to pick up on that. And that causes you and them social anxiety and, awkwardness, negative feelings in the moment. So following the way of service allows you to eliminate all social anxiety ultimately. Susan says, the mountain could be wisdom. So as you climb, we gain ground. And experience is gaining wisdom. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, wisdom is, it's one of these great words. It's one of these great theories or ideas. And it's like there's wisdom, and then there's like knowledge, and then there's like intelligence. There's like IQ, all these things kind of floating around. So my understanding of wisdom is it is applied knowledge. It is taking the knowledge that you have or that you've gathered, the understanding, right? So I think the trivium, this is also related to Hermeticism, but the trivium teaches that there's knowledge and then there's understanding the knowledge. So you gain knowledge, you find knowledge, and then you study the knowledge and you gain understanding. And then you take that understanding and you apply it to your life, and that is wisdom. So wisdom is applied understanding, and understanding is basically integrated knowledge. So all of this is to say that, yes, and then experience, as you say, that's also part of it. We basically have to combine understanding with experience to get wisdom. And so wisdom is like basically the ultimate, the top level of information, knowledge, understanding, all these things mixed up. The best thing from that is wisdom. It is, can you take what you've learned and apply it to your life? Because I don't know who said this quote, but there's a quote that says, someone who knows all these things but doesn't change the way that they live their life is just as stupid as somebody who doesn't know those things, right? There's no difference between the person who, knows these things but doesn't apply them, and the person who doesn't know them. And that's huge for me. I feel like that's something I've learned in creating the way of service is, yeah, you got to apply it. And then we talked about this a couple weeks ago. In those difficult times, can you apply everything that you've learned in those difficult times? Because that's when you really get a chance to change your life. Going back to manifestation, the universe will throw challenges at you. When you say, I want this thing, right? And you're like, I'm going to change myself. I'm going to raise my vibration. I'm going to align all the things to get, let's say $1 million, okay? In order to actually have that in your life, you have to actually change. You have to actually create what it takes to get that. And in that process, the universe is going to send you waves or echoes of your previous self and to challenge you to say, hey, have you really changed? You say you've changed, you've written it in your journal, your manifestation journal, you've visualized it, but have you actually changed, or are you just pretending? So that's what happens there. I mean, that's just how life works. So in order to get there, you really have to change. All right. Yale says, wisdom lets you see the future in a way. Yeah. Well, I mean, I don't think anybody can predict the future. And that's one of the great things about existence is that, no matter what somebody tells you, no matter how many claims somebody has, and I know this from being a trader, okay? I've been trading and in and out of the markets for at least 15 years. And everybody says they know what's going to happen. That's how you sell, that's how you get views on your videos, or your posts or whatever. You just say, well, this is what's going to happen. Tesla's going to 400 or Bitcoin's going to 200,000 by December. Nobody knows the answer, okay? But you can use wisdom and understanding to make reasonable predictions. But if you have a good spiritual centering, you will understand that you're never going to be able to absolutely figure it out, and you will never be totally attached to any one outcome. That's another part of manifestation. You have to let go of your particular vision of the thing that you want, because God has a vision for what you want. And it's probably way better, way more fun, way more interesting path to that thing. And so we live our life the best way by following that path, going with the flow, right? All right. Yeah, back to the notes here. I hope you guys are enjoying this. I was excited about this topic, or these topics. Obviously, I'm excited about it. This is the content of everything I've been working on for the last 2.5-3 months. All right, so I mentioned this. The easiest, best way to do this is to serve others. Serving others continuously improves our relationship, which is where all of our desires come from. I mentioned that, money is a method of gaining value. If you have more money, you can give value to somebody, and then they can do the thing that you want them to do, or the service or product, right? It's all about getting things from other people. That's what money is, right? Fame is, our standing in the world, or how well people know us in the world. Relationship, this is obvious, but finding a perfect mate, finding the perfect mate is not just about you, obviously. Of all the things, it's so obvious. People who are like, I'm going to manifest the perfect mate. Well, what are you? Are you a match for this person? Do you have empathy for this potential person that you want in your life? Are you going to treat them the way that they deserve to be treated? These are all questions you have to ask. Oh, yes, the AI, back to the AI topic. So I just put out a video about AI. I'm excited about it. I mentioned it earlier. But when you look at what's happening with AI, it's amazing to watch, the frenzy, just the hundreds of billions and trillions of dollars being poured into AI. And if you just look at what these companies are doing, they want to do it because it's like an anti-human motivation. It's a motivation of making more money. It's a motivation of cutting labor forces. It's a motivation of just replacing people. And the actual outcome, I think, will be good for humanity, and I argue this in the video. It's going to help all of humanity do less of the repetitive tasks that we don't want to do. But the current motivations of the people building AI they're not good motivations, in my opinion. And of course, there are some who have the right motivations, but on a whole, it's this profit motive, and profits are good, but it's to the exclusion of people, right? It's not about making people's lives better. It's about making things more efficient for that company. Let me know in the chat what you think about this, because I'm kind of hashing this out a little bit, but I hope you understand what I'm saying. So I guess my point is, and this is part of the video, if we want AI to have a better outcome, if we want to have AI really improve our lives, we're better off if people are following the way of service, even the people who are building AI. And that's the purpose of the way of service. The channel itself is to spread the message and to get this message to the people who you would think are not going to listen to it. But I believe everyone has a soul, they have a heart. Everyone's human, even the most the coldest, darkest capitalist out there that you can imagine. And I think that we can reach them with this argument, and we can prove to them that doing the right thing is better for them in the long run, for all of the reasons. It's better for them spiritually, it's better for them in the afterlife, it's better for them now in their relationships now, it's better for their peace of mind, it's better for their wealth in the long run, it's better for their fame in the long run. How are people going to remember them? The greatest people are remembered who were selfless. The people who were selfish, they are washed away in the dust of time. All right. So, yeah, one of the big things that I have realized, this has also been a big part of my path, is all the lies, right? What are the lies that we've been told that are really throwing us off, that we've internalized and are preventing us from living a good life? And one of the biggest lies, or I guess deceptions, is preventing people from finding their purpose. That's one reason I've realized that helping people find their purpose is one of the primary methods or primary purposes of the way of service. Because when people do not have their purpose, they are so much more easily controlled and basically pushed into the consumer lifestyle, the distracted lifestyle. And I've seen a couple surveys that said up to 75% of people do not know what their purpose is, right? So when people don't know their purpose, and most people don't, and it's funny, that percentage, 75%, that's about the same amount of percentage of the US economy that is based on consumption. So basically, people not knowing their purpose and being lost, trying to find meaning in material goods, in empty entertainment, in just all the consumption, fast food, whatever. Just there's so many different examples of basically things that aren't good for people, that don't actually improve their lives. They don't improve their lives spiritually. They don't really improve their lives materially. But people are drawn to these things because they haven't figured out what life is really about, what they really need to be living for. So yeah, the lies include that selfishness, that making more money will fulfill you as the only thing. And, I criticized Hormozi. Oh yeah, there's that one. I went after Alex Hormozi, and like I said, I love the guy. I think he does great work, but he is focused on this make money. His video about AI is entitled "How to Make More Money from AI." And basically all of his videos that's the motivation, is how to make more money, how to make more money, how to make more money. And it's just that you should study how to make more money on occasion, especially if you're running a business, but that can't be the only thing you think about. All right. Yeah, so, focusing only on money will damage your relationships. It's going to lead you to run your business in a less than ethical way. And Alex even, he's big on sales, figuring out the right way to run a sales funnel, as they're called. It's just such a bad terminology. I want to make a video about that too. Like the sales terminology that's used, it's like you're shoving people into a funnel, and then can you convert a lead into a conversion or a sale? It's like a person is no longer a person. They've become a lead, and then they become a sale. It's just gross, man. I mean, when you're really honest about it, this is not the way we're supposed to be living our life, okay? I hope you'll agree. Let me know in the chat what you think. So you end up doing work that you don't believe in. That's probably one of the biggest things, and that's why people are not living their purpose. That's why 75% of people. And so you're doing work in the world and you don't believe in it. And so where is your motivation to do it the right way? Where is your motivation to, improve the world with what you're doing? And the second you start thinking about that, you're going to start to realize, oh, there are better things that I could be doing that can really improve the world. If you're really honest with yourself and you take the time to get to know yourself, to brainstorm, to clear your desk and to just really think about what is it that I can do that can best help the world. If you're just thinking about money, if you're just working a job for money, that's not what you're going to be thinking about. Yale says, it's good to focus on making money. The problem is when the entire world thinks that way. That's why it's important to do this on a personal scale. Start with the things you can change. Right. Yeah, I mean, everything's a balance, and that's something I put in these notes, and hopefully I'll get to it. But any ideology, including the way of service, you don't want to take it to this extreme place where you're like, I'm only serving others and I'm not thinking about money. That's not my argument. I'm basically pushing back on the current state of things where the only thing that gets people to change what they're doing or to be motivated is thinking about making more money. And I think that that's an important part of life. Like, money is a real thing. It's not this evil thing that we shouldn't have. It's a tool, and it's a useful tool, and I think it's an important part of society. It creates the market, and the market gives signals to what the price of things should be. When the price of something goes up, it makes more people want to participate in that market, and that brings the price down, supply and demand. Money is important for this, and it's been around for thousands of years. I think it will continue to be around. But I think that in order to reach a new level, in order to really create a beautiful society that's going to improve in the ways that we want it to improve, we have to stop thinking just about money. And most importantly, I think money cannot be the number one thing. That's really where my argument is. Like, making money can be number two on your list, but number one has to be helping the world, living your purpose. It's just, that's really what I believe in. Let me know what you think in the chat about that. So you'll end up doing work in unethical ways, cutting corners to make more money instead of doing what's best for the people you work with. And that includes employees or customers. There's no difference, right? You need to treat your employees well. You need to treat your customers well. It's all people. And if you're doing good work in the world, you're focused on helping those people, helping your employees carry out their purpose and share their gift with the world, and helping your customer with whatever it is that they're coming to your company for. They need help. They need help because they need a service. They need help because they need a product. And you're going to have a better time, I think, in the short and long run, if you do what's best for all the people involved. Ryan says, balance isn't a state of being. It is a continual process of adjustment and centering. Yeah. Sorry, I'm having my setup is making it so this text is kind of hard to read, so I kind of have to get close. So that's why I'm doing that. I mean, balance it's another a spiritual thing. It's like you will never be balanced, right? You will be balanced, but you're never going to be balanced. Because like you said, it's a continual adjustment. Like if you think about a perfect sphere, finding the perfect balance point, it's like an infinitesimally small point. So I don't know if you understand what I'm saying, but basically you're never going to be perfectly balanced and always takes adjustments. That's what life is about, right? Life is not about just finding the thing and being that way forever. Life is about continually adjusting and improving your life, just like that quote earlier that I read, right? By meeting difficulties calmly and openly, however they unfold, and joyfully developing ourselves in response to them, right? That's how we should approach life. All right, so here's another lie: lack of self-awareness and how life works. You can't have, do, or be anything you want, especially because we all have our particular, set of gifts, like our astrology, right? We're born into this world. The stars are aligned in a particular way. We have our set of traits. And I'm not going to become the best basketball player in the world. It's just it was never going to happen. I mean, I could have tried to contort myself and become, I don't know, number 500 in the world, but it's that's not what my purpose would be. And actually, when I was studying, doing research for the purpose video that we did last week, I learned that Andre Agassi, I don't know if you know who he is, but he's one of the great tennis players. He didn't really enjoy tennis. And he actually, he says that he's now living his purpose because his tennis winnings allowed him to create a charitable foundation. And now that's what he does with his time, right? So it's amazing. There are examples. And it's like the tennis had its purpose, right? It had its purpose in its life. It gave him a fortune, just like winning the lottery can have a purpose. But now he's living his purpose. And maybe, he says that when he first played tennis with his father when he was young, he didn't enjoy it. So, I mean, part of me believes that he probably would have had a more fulfilling life if he didn't play tennis, right? And that's kind of what the purpose of Way of Service is, and what I'm trying to share with you is, that's what this video is all about, right? Yep. The don't work hard video. Don't do the thing that you don't like just because you're still doing it. This was is in my notes as well. Yeah, right here. Yeah, so this is another lie, right? The way to succeed is to abuse yourself. Following your emotions and your instincts is wrong. Force yourself to do the thing. That'll make you more money, right? Discipline and just following the routine and not listening to your emotions, not listening to your instincts, not following your heart, right? Just following your mind, following what other people are telling you to do. Again, this is like trying to climb the mountain that is your mountain, but climbing it the way that the other person is climbing their mountain. And it doesn't work. And what it ends up leading you to, and this is why I said, don't work hard, right? This is why I say don't work hard. Because and what I'm saying is when it's work, it's like something you don't enjoy doing. Don't work hard on that, because you're going to end up with this sunk cost fallacy, right? The sunk cost fallacy says, and this is a psychological truth, where people will have put so much time and energy and money, let's say education, into something that they're just like, hey, I have to keep doing it. I told my story a couple times about almost going to medical school. And if I had poured in, whatever it is, $250,000 into medical school and going into debt and being on that life path, how much harder would it have been for me to create the Way of Service, right? Because that would mean I'd have to, quit my job and stop making the money that I'm making. So all these things add up to the sunk cost fallacy. And then, you end up with bad habits. And this is related to the education system. I was just talking about this with my wife. you know, just how tragic it is that the education system exists in its current form. Because as I said in that video about the education system, like people spend their first 20 years of their life, their formative years, stuffing themselves into a box, doing what everybody else tells them to do, and then they have to try to figure out what to do with their life. They have no habits, they have no practices established in order to do that, right? Their habits are all about following other people. Their habits are all about doing what other people say, trying to make the most money, usually. That's what most people select their major for. So because it exists like this, all these people have these terrible habits going into adulthood, and then they have to try to change them, and that's really hard to do. Yale says, I'm one of the greatest Connect 4 players of all time, but I refuse to play. I'll never play professional 4 again. That's great. Yeah. That's funny. I saw a Connect 4 video. I don't know why. It's probably just a short on YouTube. It's like there's some massive competition where there's these 6-year-old kids who just annihilate you in Connect 4. It was pretty funny. So it's funny you say Connect 4. It's such a funny game. It's like tic-tac-toe, but a little bit more advanced. Yeah, so let me go back up to where I was. Yeah, I think I mentioned this. Yeah, the manifestation gurus don't want to mention to the hard part of life to you. They want to tell you you're going to have everything you want. They're like, hey, just follow. This is the big one. It's like, hey, everybody else has it wrong, right? Everybody else has it wrong, but me. Everybody else but me. I've got it figured out. Buy my course. Follow me. Follow my meditation practice, right? Follow my visualization practice. You see somebody tell you that, you run the other way. You run the other way. It's a lie. Life is about challenges, okay? It's about overcoming the challenges and attaining the thing in a rewarding way. And I'm not going to lie to you about it, okay? It's probably going to hurt my viewership, right? Some of the people are going to turn me off now. They're like, oh, no, I want to, manifest tomorrow. I don't want to listen to this guy. But don't do it. Don't do it, man. It's not going to work. You're just going to frustrate yourself. You're going to waste time. And you're going to be less fulfilled. You're going to be further behind, And that's another part of the way of service is, I believe, is, look, you gotta do it the right way. You want to manifest? I do believe manifestation is possible, okay? I'm not saying it's not possible. But manifestation without any work, manifestation without, the rubber meeting the road of life, that's not going to happen. And so listen to me. Don't listen to those guys. Not that I have all the answers, okay? I have good meditation practices. I have good, I have the elements video. I have a meditation video. I recommend them. But you can find other methods. Mine is not the perfect method, okay? I think it's a great method. I hope, what I believe is that the people who find my method are the ones who can be most benefited by it, right? That's how I think the universe works, is you're going to find the thing. If you are in the right state, you will find the YouTube video or the book or whatever the process is, the teacher, right? When the student is ready, the teacher appears. That's how it works, right? The universe will bring it to you. God will bring it to you. Yeah. Yes, we talked about this. Are you doing the things that you study and practice in tough times? Yeah, some manifestations would be very bad for you, right? So, yeah, like I said, like winning the lottery. What if, again, it's like that Twilight Zone episode. Like he wins all of his bets, but also all the people are laughing. So imagine they laugh at everything that he says. So imagine that you meet, your perfect mate, and they just like love you. They just laugh. It's hilarious. Everything you say, you can do no wrong, and they just ignore all of your faults. Ultimately, that's not going to fulfill you. It'll be fun for a little period of time, but it's actually going to hold you back. That person's enabling your negative traits because they're not challenging you. You want a partner who's going to challenge you and make you grow, and a partner who is growing. Yeah, so we were talking about this. Following your emotions and instincts is wrong. This is another lie, okay? Everyone's trying to figure out how to trick themselves into being productive instead of following their instincts that come from what their soul mission really is. It's like, what are the 5 tricks to being disciplined? What are the 5 steps to being productive? And those videos can have some great content and some great tricks and tips, but you're going to figure out how to be productive by being on your purpose, right? You will be motivated. At least this is what's happened to me. I believe it's absolutely true through my process. You will become more productive, and you will integrate it. You will find the wisdom, right, of being productive. Like, you can learn all these tips and tricks, but they won't actually be applied to your life in any meaningful way until you are motivated to do it. That's another video I want to make, is how to never waste time again. And it's by living your purpose. Once you're living your purpose, you won't want to do the thing that wastes your time, because it's just going to be annoying to you. You're going to be like, this thing's getting in my way of doing what I really want to do. That's why they have to keep you in that 75% of people who don't know what their purpose is, so that they can sell you Netflix or whatever it is, All right. Yeah, another one is your daily practice can be boring and uninspiring. I mean, working out and walking, I mentioned those. It's like they're useful, but if you try to get yourself to do a daily practice that you're not excited about and that you're not varying at all, that's not going to work, right? That's why I was so excited about my 5 elements video. Yeah, the 10-minute routine of the 5 elements. You can see here the picture of the thumbnail. I'm inspired by the 5 elements. Air, earth, fire, water, and consciousness, spirit. Ourself, that is us. We are the 5th element, okay? That's what I talk about in the video. And that inspires me. What inspires you? You have to develop your own daily practice. And you have to change it. You have to have a variety of practices that you're interested in. I don't know if I put this quote in there. Yeah, this I Ching quote, okay? Don't think that you can attain total awareness and whole enlightenment without proper discipline and practice. This is egomania. Appropriate rituals channel your emotions and life energy toward the light. Without the discipline to practice them, you will tumble constantly backward into darkness. So the key word in there is, this is egomania. It is egomania to believe that you can live a good life without a daily practice where you recenter yourself, you rebalance yourself, you remember the wisdom that you're trying to live. You give yourself that compassion. You allow yourself to unwind. You allow yourself to experience the pleasure, to appreciate all the good things in your life. This is why visualization and affirmations are great. I'm not saying don't do them, right? I'm just saying that they're not going to do everything for you, okay? But having visualizations, having meditation practices, obviously, I think are incredibly important and necessary. And as I mentioned in the 5 elements, the 10-minute routine, if you're having a bad time, go look at my list. Okay, I've got a list of 5 basic steps for each element and then 5 advanced steps. And if you haven't done them recently, that's probably why you're having a bad time. And I can probably remember them. Okay, so the basic steps are drink water, okay, breathe fresh air outside, touch the earth. And this is amazing because so few people do this. Grounding, people live in the city, they wear shoes all the time. You have to physically touch the earth. And it's actually, all of these have science behind them. So grounding removes the excess electrical charge in your body. So touching the earth, okay? And then getting natural sunlight in your eyes. That is fire. The sun is fire. So those are the first four elements. And then the fifth element is meditation, which is to, bring your attention to your consciousness. Those are the five basic steps. If you haven't done any of those in, a week or more, you're probably having a bad time. And this is how you can reset yourself. And then the five advanced methods. Let's see if I can remember. Oh yeah. So for water, it is emotional release. So it's like crying. And I often will find myself, and I mentioned this in my video, but if you meditate with music and with visualization, you will probably have some very emotional experiences. And then you need to allow yourself to cry and to let the principles of water, which are humility and cleansing, to flow through you. Feel that humbleness of like, I was wrong. Letting go of those negative thoughts, that negative like tension in your body. That is what water can do for you. For fire, it's working out. Have you worked out vigorously? Again, in the last week, if you haven't, that's probably why you're having a bad time. I mean, I can tell you so many times in my life when, I'm like, everything's off, I don't feel good, and you go work out. And then it's like, oh, that's what was wrong, For air, this was my favorite one. Clearing the air. It's about relationships. Clear the air in your life. Clear the air with the people. People are waiting to hear back from you. People, maybe you wronged someone, maybe you lied to someone. It's like, if you clear the air, you're going to feel so much better. And then you're going to be able to breathe more easily, right? And then for earth is taking a walk and really appreciating, being in the moment, appreciating nature. That's really what it is. It's like being present with nature. I took a walk earlier today, and we have a river on our property, and the quote from the Bible came into my mind, which was, God leads me to still waters. And even in the I Ching is, there are the 8 hexagrams, and one of them is lake. And lake over lake is joy, right? So still waters bring us joy. Nature brings us joy. If we go out into nature and we are present in nature, it's like if you can do all these things in nature, you can combine them, right? Go ground in nature, bring clear water, breathe the air when you're out there, meditate while you're out there. You can combine all these and you're going to refresh yourself so much. You'll be so much more ready to handle life. Because even if you're following your purpose, you're going to have difficulties. You're going to have challenges and times when you don't want to do it, times when you're not motivated, or you fall off of the path, and then all these different, falsehoods and bad habits from the past are going to creep up on you, right? Like as the quote says, without the discipline to practice these things, you will tumble constantly backward into darkness. And that's just life, right? That's how life works. All right. How are we doing, everybody? Is everybody having fun? Put a 1 in the chat if you're having fun. Put a 2 if you're not having fun. I guess you probably left. And hit the like button, okay? Hit the like button. Subscribe if you haven't subscribed. Helps the channel. It grows everything. If you hit the like button on my videos, especially if you like them, it helps grow. It helps spread these ideas. If you believe in these ideas, that's very helpful. Yeah, so here's another lie, right? If you don't want to work, you are lazy. And I found this quote, there are no lazy people. They're either sick or uninspired. And that's, there's the 75%. Hey, we got a 1 from Yale. Thank you, Yale. I'm glad somebody's having fun. There are no lazy people. They're either sick or uninspired. So the uninspired are the people who haven't found their purpose. And then, of course, there are the sick also, people who, literally physically sick, but I feel like also like emotionally sick, right? Maybe they do know what their purpose is, but they can't get there. They feel like they can't do it because of these things that are happening in their life that are no good, right? And this is, I think, another area that I can try to expand on is like the things that are really difficult for people, the things that make people sick. I mentioned education system definitely makes people sick in as far as, like, for me, I had to reclaim my love of learning. I had to reclaim my love of reading. I had to reclaim my love of taking notes, right? That was a big one, taking notes. I remember in my adulthood, I think early in my young adulthood after I had graduated, I started taking notes about things in my life. And I was like, I had this feeling at the beginning. I was like, I never took notes in college and in high school. They always tell you, oh, take notes, take notes. I did not take notes. Okay. My notebooks were always empty. And it was because somebody else was telling me to take notes and I wasn't excited about what I was taking notes about. But when I finally started taking notes about my life, about the things that I was actually applying in my life, now I have like many, many notebooks filled with notes. And, that was a sickness that came from education, was not wanting to take notes. And taking notes is so important. Just a basic thing, like we're constantly having great ideas. I just noticed that the music's over with. I can get the music going again. Let's turn on some more music. There we go. Sorry the music ended. That'll make it more fun, right? All right. Yeah, so, like I said, there's a lot of sicknesses, a lot of falsehoods that people are having. Susan says 100 or 1,000. So she beat you, Yale. You're only having 1 unit of fun. She's having 1,000 units of fun. Yeah, so, education system, that causes a lot of sicknesses. I think social media today, I made a video about that, but I want to expand on it more. It's like social media encourages people to kind of lie. They share the good things in their life and they hide the bad things, and they're not really, they're just not, they don't have the right motivation. It's like, why are you sharing this thing on social media? Are you actually trying to help other people? And believe me, I see tons of people helping other people on social media, but I also see a lot of, selling themselves and pushing out, whatever it is. And that makes people feel not good. And it makes them have this sickness in themselves where they're seeking dopamine, they're seeking a quick fix and, positive feeling from getting likes, but they're not thinking about the right things because they're caught in this trap. It's a sickness. Yeah, so meaningless entertainment, that's, so I think I love entertainment. I watch movies, okay, I play video games sometimes. I don't know, eat good food at restaurants, go see shows, play games with the kids, whatever it is. Not that that's meaningless, but, there's certain things that people could criticize as meaningless entertainment. But I think it's great to unwind. Like if you've had a good day of work and you need a break from thinking and you don't want to go read a book, read the book on the subject that you're working on, that's fine. Like you can go watch Netflix. It's okay. But the difference is, are you unwinding because you need a break, or are you avoiding life, right? Are you kind of avoiding doing the things that you should probably be doing? Not like, the work that you should be doing, but maybe you should be doing self-help. Maybe you should be doing one of your practices. Maybe you need to take a walk or go outside and ground, drink some water, breathe the air, meditate. So that's the difference between avoiding life and unwinding, following meaningless entertainment. Politics, that's a big one. I think people are, and this is related to the next bullet point, which is the extreme ideologies that force you to contort your life. So, they've got us very well divided between the left and the right. I think there are things on the left and things on the right that are correct. And so by keeping those truths separate from each other, it's like, well, if you believe this, you have to also believe this. And if you believe this, and you also have to believe this, right? That keeps you separated from the truth, and it's kind of a sickness. Like, totally aligning yourself with any one ideology, ism, whatever it is, republicanism, democratism, I don't know, fascism, communism, whatever ism, even Taoism, anything that has a set of beliefs that are very rigid and kind of force you to contort your life such that you can't live a balanced life because you're adhering to this list of principles that you've agreed to, that you think are the truth, right? It's like, we're right, those people are wrong, okay? And politics is just a huge area in this. I mean, it's a shame too. Like, I really hope and wish for a future where politics is a more positive thing, but right now is so just laden with negativity, laden with manipulation. It's like, how do you know a politician is lying? If their mouth is open, right? If they're speaking, right? That's the joke. And it's true. I mean, it's just so common to lie as a politician. And to me, there's no difference between lying to people as a politician on TV and lying to your family. Everyone is a person who deserves dignity and respect. And then that's part of the way of service that I'm trying to explain. It's like, ultimately, we should be treating strangers who we will never meet just as well as we treat, our child. And that's a difficult thing to do. And I think you start with your child, right? You start with treating your child right, and treating your spouse right, and treating your family right, and then treating your friends right. But once you start to master that, it'll start to carry over into the rest of your life. And then you are truly living your purpose. You're truly going to improve the world, right? I'm inspired to read this I Ching quote about that. Let me pull it up here. Search for brother. Yeah. Live in the real world and extend your virtue to it without discrimination in the daily round. Be the truest father or mother, the truest brother or sister, the truest friend, and the truest disciple. All right, and there's another one just like this. Who can attain clarity and simplicity by avoiding the world? The Tao is clear and simple. It doesn't avoid the world. Why not simply honor your parents, love your children, help your brothers and sisters, be faithful to your friends, care for your mate with devotion, complete your work cooperatively and joyfully, assume responsibility for problems, practice virtue without first demanding it of others, understand the highest truths yet retain an ordinary manner. That would be true clarity, true simplicity, and true mastery. I love the end there. Two things, right? Assume responsibility from problems and practice virtue without demanding it first of others. That is so hard, right? I think that becomes often a block in people's head from following the way of service. They're like, well, how can I treat people well when they don't treat me well back? And you should protect yourself from the negative influences of people. If they're abusing you, obviously you don't need to stand for abuse. But often the negative behaviors of other people is just annoying. And you can stay in your purpose, stay on the way of service by practicing virtue without first demanding it of others, right? And then this other part of it, understand the highest truths yet retain an ordinary manner. And I love it so much. It's like the true enlightened master is wearing work clothes and will talk to you about football and has watched, the latest Netflix show because they wanted to. this idea of being a part of the world, being in the world, but also not of it, but being still having all of these spiritual truths and practicing life correctly, the best way, but also being ordinary and not making people try to look up to you or trying to make people impressed with how much you know. I try to embody that here, and I try to share, these are all things that I'm working on a regular basis. And like I said, somebody who tells you, hey, I have the answers and I know everything, run, right? No, I want to retain an ordinary manner, right? If Ryan's still here, that quote, right? It's at the end of the I Ching. Number 81. Oh, here we go. You don't have to hide away forever in spiritual retreats. You can be a gentle, contemplative hermit right here in the middle of everything. Utterly unaffected, thoroughly sustained and rewarded by your integral practices. Encouraging others, giving freely to all, awakening and purifying the world with each movement and action, you'll ascend to the divine realm in broad daylight. The breath of the Tao speaks, and those who are in harmony with it hear quite clearly. That is the end of the I Ching. Yeah, so that is also the end of my notes. I wanted to... never mind. I've got plenty more to talk about. Okay, cool. Well, we'll go until at least 4 p.m. here. Yeah, let me know if there's anything that you want to talk about or things that are being brought up for you. I love hearing your ideas, so please mention in the chat. So, I briefly mentioned energy work in one of my videos. I think that that's a totally untapped field of study for pretty much everyone. We have an energy body, okay? And you can affect it, Go watch my video about healing my father. This one. I healed my father in the hospital using energy work, energy healing. And it is a method of meditation that most people have no familiarity with, but it will change your life. I believe you can heal through it. You can process emotion through it. It's a good part of visualization. So I wanted to mention it just briefly. I think there's a lot more to talk about. I do have a Qigong practice, which is Qigong is Chinese for energy work. Qi is energy, Gong is work. So, and I looked on YouTube and nobody covers this particular method of Qigong. There's a ton of Qigong on YouTube, but I think I should make a video about it. Let me know in the chat if you think I should make a video about it. Signs and synchronicity, that's a big one. Join our Discord, right? If you want to get on our Discord, go to wayofservice.com. There's a link to the Discord if you just scroll down a little bit. We have great discussions in there, and I have a channel where people post in their signs and synchronicities. For me, it's often, seeing 111, 1111. On our last stream, when I was talking about synchronicity, I happened to look at the clock, and it was 333, right? Right before the stream, we started at 2:30. I saw 222, and that's just become something that happens. And I feel like a lot of people have this experience, but once you start to pay attention to it, it happens more. And then when it happens, I believe that the best response is to kind of think about what you were thinking about. Like, what is this moment telling you? Often I think it's like a sign of reassurance, like a reassurance from the universe or from God or our spirit guides that we're doing the right thing, that we're okay. But also sometimes it tells us to remember that thought that we just had, Like I mentioned earlier, taking notes. Like, take notes on what the signs and synchronicities that you see and have are, and then what occurs to you is their meaning in the moment. And then as you do this, you will start to be more open to it, And then these things will help you to change your life. These are the methods of attainment, right? Methods of attainment. So signs and synchronicity is one of the methods of attainment. Following your highest excitement. I think this was a huge one for me. Very helpful when you have a huge, if you're running your own business, there's just this giant list of things you could be doing, work on this project, work on this aspect, work on your emails, work on the next YouTube video, work on your setup. You get the idea, right? Work on your finances. Whatever the thing is that gives you the most excitement, it has the least resistance in yourself. That's the thing that you should do. That is a great way to live and to handle the giant array of difficulty. Because, and I've got this idea from Bashar, he says that your highest excitement is your higher self, right? Your spirit. And this is kind of getting into the details of how life works. But I believe we are a spirit, and that spirit sends part of itself down into the physical body, but remains up in heaven, let's say. And so in heaven, it has a higher perspective. It can see further into the future than you. And so it sends you messages by giving you the feeling of intuition and excitement to follow that path. So when you do it with like a trusting, you trust the signal from your heart and your emotions. That is following your highest excitement. And yeah, that goes with never getting stuck and going with the flow. Laozi's writings. Obviously, I recommend Laozi's writings because I quote him almost every video, definitely every live stream. I've quoted him. And here's another quote, right? So the I Ching, we've done a lot of I Ching readings. I've got it right here, actually. I Ching. One of my favorite translations. We got a lot of translations of the I Ching. And this is what Laozi says about using the I Ching. He says, in earlier times, people lived simply and serenely. Sensitive to the fluctuations that constantly occur, they were able to adjust comfortably to the energy of the day. Today, people lead hysterical, impulsive lives, ignoring the subtle alterations of yin and yang, which influence all things. They become confused, exhausted, and frustrated. However, even today, you can restore wholeness and clarity to your mind. The way to do this is through the study of the I Ching. Like the cycle of day and night, everything is a Tai Chi, incorporating movements between yin and yang. If you do not see the patterns in these movements, you are lost. But if you consult the I Ching with an open mind, you will begin to see the patterns underlying all things. Knowing that daybreak will come, you can rest peacefully at night. When you accurately perceive the fluidity of things, you also begin to perceive the constancy behind them. The creative, transformative, boundless, immutable Tao. To see this is the ultimate education and the ultimate solace. So one of the things, the I Ching is all about yin and yang and its combinations. And by consulting the I Ching, and you consult the I Ching by casting coins, it's kind of like a randomness. And Carl Jung wrote one of the prefaces to the I Ching. I suggest if you like Carl Jung, look up his preface to the I Ching. And he discusses how this works. It's through synchronicity, through the universe. You are tapping into the moment, and then this ancient book, this book is 5,000 years old, will give you the perspective on the moment. And sometimes it'll tell you, don't act. Sometimes it'll tell you now is not the right time for the thing that you're trying to do. That's sometimes difficult to hear, but sometimes it's the truth. And if you follow the flow of the day, you'll find out why. There's something that'll come up that'll make it challenging for you to do the thing. So really being open and never being stuck, that's one of the things I said. And consulting the I Ching is very helpful for that process. Because, often we'll have a concept in our minds of what we think we should be doing next. And what we really need to do is to let go of all of our concepts Perhaps consult the I Ching or meditate and wait for the right idea to come to us, right? There's actually a Tao Te Ching quote. Let's go to the Tao Te Ching. Yeah, here we go. Do you have the patience to wait till your mud settles and the water is clear? Can you remain unmoving till the right action arises by itself? Right? That's what this is all about, you know. Can you wait until your mud settles and your water is clear? I'll just read the rest of it. The master doesn't seek fulfillment, not seeking, not expecting. She is present and can welcome all things. Right? Tao Te Ching is great. All right, we're coming up on 4 o'clock. I want to read the chat, but you know, if you guys want me to stick around for another 5 minutes, I think I can pull it off. Let me know in the chat. Otherwise, I'll probably wrap up in a minute or two. Susan says, my brother has his own business. He hates the paperwork till a wise man said, that's where you make the money. Now he doesn't mind. Yeah. Well, yeah, I mean, and the paperwork has its place. And I think that in the future, hopefully, you know, AI is going to take care of the paperwork. Like, you know, all the things, the repetitive tasks. I say this in the AI video. If you haven't watched it yet, go watch it after this live stream ends. But AI is going to save us from all these things that we don't want to be doing, but have to be done. You know, it's a fantastic thing. But in the meantime, maybe it allows him to slow down, right? Or maybe he can find someone who can help him, and then he'll develop a great relationship with, like, say, an accountant or, you know, a lawyer even, you know, whatever. Every problem is an opportunity, right? I wanted to mention this method of attainment, Kaizen. So if you haven't heard of Kaizen, it's the idea of improving things by like 1% every day. You know, the idea, and you can do this, you can take radical change in your life, you know, change 100% in one day or 1 week or whatever. But it's not really going to be sustainable. Kaizen is sustainable. Just make a small change to improve things. And this is, you know, related to the start ugly, right? If you're thinking about starting a business, start ugly, start where you are, and then improve gradually. And you're actually going to get to your goal sooner than if you thought that you had to do all of it right away. You know, do it perfectly from the beginning. No, life is not like that, right? All right, let's see. What else did I have here? Okay, here's the end. The proof of these truths. Yeah, so I've got a video about that. I don't think I have the thumbnail ready, but this is the purpose of life has been proven. That's also another one of my favorite videos because I was so jazzed up about sharing that information because I was like, holy crap, we have proven the afterlife. We have proven what the afterlife is like, and it proves that the way of service is the way to be. So go check that one out if you haven't checked out that one. Yeah, and that's basically what the rest of this is. You know, Laozi's writing is the most concise and powerful. You know, if you're looking for trying to figure it out, go read Laozi. You know, his work is 2,500 years old. So you can't go wrong there, in my opinion. All right. I hear the baby's crying. You guys can probably hear it too. The music's over with. So let's see. We'll play some music here to go out. I love you guys. Thank you for joining the live stream. I'm live every Friday from 2:30 to 4. Go to wayofservice.com if you haven't already. Join the Discord, subscribe, like the video, watch the rest of my videos. I love you. I will see you next week.